Right back here on the Newsfeed PM. Thanks for staying on. Tshwane's mayor says the city is in the process of blacklisting companies responsible for abandoning the Rooiwal Wastewater Treatment Plant project. In 2019, a 250 million rand contract was awarded to a consortium linked to businessman Edwin Sodi for the much-needed upgrade of the Rooiwal facility. Despite receiving millions in payments, the contractors failed to complete that work. They ultimately walked off the site, leaving behind an incomplete and dysfunctional plant. I'm joined now by MK Party Gauteng spokesperson Abel Tau. Good to have you, and thank you very much for coming on. It's not the first time that the city of Tshwane would be attempting this. I think the city last year in February already writing to Treasury to try and restrict the Blackhead Consulting, now rebranded as G5 Group, to do business with the council. Of course, that particular request doesn't seem to have been successful. How do they think this time around it will work?
Thank you very much, Tau, and good afternoon to viewers at home. Look, it is commendable, and we really need to, acknowledge and welcome such attempts. But it is very unfortunate that public money gets to be spent without desired results, and at the end of the day, you find a situation where government or between government, intergovernmentally, there's unwillingness to assist each department, and really that needs to be condemned, because at the center of everything that we do as lawmakers should be the well-being of the residents or the people that we lead, who are your general populace of this country. Now, I can tell you now, Mr. Mzuli, that I have no faith that the blacklisting will happen. As you correctly said, that the company has been rebranded. But amongst some of the things that are there, this is the same story that we got about 3 years ago when Mayor Brink was still at the helm. The whole story around recovering the money and making sure that these companies are blacklisted, that is exactly what we were told. And a few years later, we are still at that very same point. No cent has been recovered, and no work has really been, been forthcoming. I can tell you now that I am planning another visit to the plant itself, an oversight visit with some of the members of parliament from our party. And trust me, there was an oversight visit by the minister. And I know that we are only getting to be told about the monies, because this is smoke screen. This wants to divert our attention from the real challenge that is there with the water. This past week, people of Hammanskraal have been getting water that is worse of the past few months. It has really regressed. But over and above that, we know that there is a looming deadline of June. Remember that we were promised that by December, the whole of Hammanskraal will be getting clean drinkable water from the taps. It was moved to March, it was then moved to June, and we are about 12 days from that deadline, and now we are being told that they are pursuing money so that we focus elsewhere, other than where we need to focus in making sure that people of Hammanskraal get clean, potable water from their taps.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was just only last week, at least, that we were getting reports that the minister would have been heading there. The Magalies Water Board is now implementing that work there. It's the implementing agents of those upgrades of the package plant. Do you believe that that work is progressing as it should?
Look, we were told of them being on time and within budget, but we also know that in December there were bold pronouncements made on social media and elsewhere that the water is fine. We went there to verify, and a different story was told. Look, Mr. Mdluli, you go to the ground in Hammanskraal, it really is unfortunate, because people in Hammanskraal have not seen the difference that we politicians talk about in these platforms. There has not been work that has been done. The package plant has not delivered clean potable water as things stand, at least from people on the ground. But what also gives you the indication that even the powers that be, that the mayor and the city and probably the minister also know that there is nothing happening, is because from the time that we have been talking about this package plant and the relief that it would be bringing, we have seen the same number of water tankers that are delivering in the same areas, and therefore that tells you that they are also aware that there has not been any change, if not increased. I mean, you look at the budget that the city of Tshwane has just passed, there is an increase in the allocation for potable water, precisely to the water that would be delivered to people in Hammanskraal. And really, this is so unfortunate because the issue of Hammanskraal water is not rocket science. One, it is an issue that was flagged by the master plan that the upgrades should have been done a while ago, as early as 2004. But over and above that, over time, these are issues that have always been on the table to say we need to do these upgrades. And it is unfortunate that we find ourselves right now 320 million spent, and we don't have anything to show for it. We are talking package plants, we are talking spending on water tankers, and what's worse, the people on the ground are still suffering as they always have. We're talking people who have actually died from the cholera outbreak, and this is one of those scandals, honestly, that is in the same league as your life estimate and so forth. And it's said that we don't want to be commentators of all the ills that are being done in government. We want to be people who go out there and say, actually, we have delivered for our people. And unfortunately, we are unable to say that, but we will continue, and we have to continue to fight hard to make sure that people in Hammanskraal finally get clean potable water from their taps.
There's a thing from Treasury which I've learned is called the Treasury Tender Defaulter document. Last year it was sitting at about 177 companies, the Tender Defaulter Report. How seriously do private companies take that Tender Defaulter Report?
Look, Thabo, one of the things that you see with that tender defaulter report is that you go to that report, you see some of these companies or some of these directors continuing to get work in the different municipalities and in the different entities of government, even as they appear there, So for me, I genuinely think that as a country, we are not serious about this. There is really an attitude that says, from, I think, the state itself or the bureaucracy, that they just in it for 5 years. And I think this is a very bad attitude because no one wants to really take on these guys because for whatever reason, I do believe that as politicians, we know that at some point we may need these individuals when the time for congresses come or elections come. And I think then, it does not give an incentive for politicians to really take this seriously. And subsequently, the technocrats and the bureaucracy would follow suit. But I think one of the things that would be a glimmer of hope for our country is the represented parties funding, which seeks to address this very issue. Because when you need politicians are going to be needing business people to ensure their own survival as political parties, then you are going to have this skewed relationship of lack of accountability. And hopefully, as we grow into the space of making sure that we remove dependency on private business to fund political parties, we may start to see real accountability creeping in. And I'm hoping that that should be the situation. But I can assure you, we have never seen political will. The story in Hammanskraal, as of everywhere else, whether it's in Guyana with the Guyana water project or the Guyana pipeline, or you can go on to every other challenge, whether it's influence or whatever, there has always been a lack of political will and probably the know-how to do what needs to be done. We appoint wrong people, we elect wrong people, and at the end of the day, we expect to see things happening, which is unfortunately not going to happen.
Abel Tau, I appreciate your time. MK Party, Gauteng spokesperson there.